Hey Denver, how we doing? Happy Tuesday.
Good afternoon, Garrett. How are things going?
I can't complain. We're into May. Summer's almost here and
That's
business
right.
is picking up, so exciting time.
That's right. The busy season begins now. So we can yeah, we have a good power session for today, just talking through some of the updates that we've made to some of the the AP and AR modules as it relates to our average days to pay calculations, how we can help automate some of um, those projected payment dates. So that way, when we're looking at things like the cash flow forecast, or when we're looking at when maybe some of our subcontractor invoices will be due, we could take a look at some of those new settings and just how they will affect some of the other reports in the system. So where I would want to start with this is either in AR or AP. So under the financials, we have the AR AP modules. I'm just going to start with the first one here under AR collections. So when we're into the AR side, what we're looking to automate here is, as I scroll on down, by default, if we haven't changed any of these settings, the projected payment date is going to just use the due date, right? It's just going to be a one-to-one for each invoice in here. Now, if
Sure.
I want to automate this based on an average days to pay for the job, the customer, etc., where I want to go is up to the top and go into our settings icon. So once we're in there, we can jump to this second section here, this default projected payment date. Now, what it is a hierarchy, right? So what we're looking at here is it's going to go from top to bottom and look at the ones that are currently checked. So in this case, what I want to look at for defaulting that projected payment date, I want to look at, in my setup, the average days to pay for the project first. So what that means is for all of our payments we've received on the job, it will come up with our average days to pay. And it's going to use that as the number to calculate when our projected payment date is, right? If we hadn't been paid on a job, then what it's going to do is go to the second option, look at the average days to pay for the customer as a whole. So if you have one customer that has two or three or four, or maybe a whole bunch of jobs, if we haven't been paid on that particular job yet, it'll use the average days to pay for the customer. If we haven't been paid on either of those, then it's going to go to the, in my case, the due date. But we can include things like, right, if I want to say, look at the job, if not, look at the customer, if not, maybe I just want to kick it out 45 days instead of using the due date. I could do 30, I could do 60, but this will be the hierarchy for defaulting that date in there. You could do same thing, average days to pay for the PM. So what that means is it's going to look at all the jobs for that project manager, find out the average days to pay and use that. And then average days to pay for the company would be all invoices forever. So, I mean, same thing. We could do project, client, company, due date. We could have this calculate any which way. I would say for what I've seen set up, this would be the most common order of operations. And then maybe this in there as a secondary option.
Yeah, I'd say the couple clients I've seen have the setup, definitely project and then client.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Right.
then it maybe seems to vary after, but
Yep. Now, if you have a lot of small one invoice, two invoice um, projects for a particular customer, or for if you have a big service division, or maybe I just want to factor in the customer as a whole because we have a lot of smaller jobs. Maybe it makes sense to have the client first, and maybe just do something as simple as this. Just look at the average days to pay for the customer as a whole. If not, use the due date, right? So those would be my two options. This for if we have a lot of long-term projects, if a majority of our invoicing is shorter, service or maintenance type invoices, maybe it makes more sense to go this route. Right. So once I make my updates, check my boxes, order it, I'm going to hit save. And that's going to go through all of my invoices and reorganize those projected payment dates based on the average days to pay. And where you can see this too is if I go into my cash flow forecast and I go into, I just pick a week here. If I click into any of these invoices, I can see here we have an invoice date of March 20th. If I click in to the date, I can start to see some of those metrics showing up here. So this is also where it will play a factor in, right? So this will say, all right, for the job, paid in 38 days. The customer, same thing, 38 days. Company, 45. So it'll default to whatever setting you selected in the AR module, but you always have the option to override it or see some of the other calculations as well. Right, so that way it will help organize this cash flow forecast for those next 13 weeks. What I see with a lot of contractors is they either put in due upon receipt for the terms or just simply 30 days. So in that case, if today is May 5th and we did all of our billings for the prior month, April 20th, let's just say, generally speaking, a lot of invoices wouldn't go past, this line here because we're not billing out that far ahead. So using those average days to pay will help, better reflect, if I've got a customer that's paying in 45 or 25 or 85 days, right? It'll start organizing those a bit more appropriately than just simply saying, take the invoice date plus 30 days. Right. So that would be for the AR collections. And then on the AP payables side of it, same thing. If I go to settings, we've got two options here. So I can use the projected payment date plus X number of days. Straightforward, same as the AR collections. The other option is the top, which is the auto link AP invoices to AR invoices. So where this becomes most impactful is if we have a lot of AP invoices that we're going to pay once we are paid on those jobs. So if I have job A and I've got my billing for the month and I've got my most frequently, right, like my subcontract invoices for the month, what I can do is have the system link all of those most likely subcontract invoices to the billings for that month, right? If you hover over the question mark, it's just saying it will link those if they have the same project, makes sense, and the invoices are all within the same month, right? And that there's only one billing for that job for the month. So that's one caveat to make sure of, because if we've got two billings or three invoices for that month, we don't have a way to know which billing it should link to if there's multiple in the month. So that's the order of operations. Got to have the same job, same month, and that there's only one billing that month. If it meets all that criteria, when you start looking at your billings, right, and I click in, I can then start looking at all of my linked AP transactions to those billings. So let's see if I can find one real quick. But we would then be able to see, right, all of the linked AP invoices that meet or that show and are linked to all those AP invoices. So that way, when we go in and we want to see, all right, I got paid for, this invoice, I want to take a look at all my linked transactions. I can then click here and see a list of all of my outstanding payables. So if I receive that check, I can then see all the maybe subcontract invoices that I need to cut checks for, right? And what that will do too, once it's linked, right? If it does link it to the billing, it's going to find the projected payment date of the AR invoice, add 7 days, and make that the projected payment date of those linked AP transactions, right? So since we're finding the average days to pay for AR, add 7 days to that, and it will link or update the projected payment date for the AP invoice. So any updates to those billings will automatically update the projected payment dates for any linked payables, right? So that way, once again, looking at cash flow, AR will be split out. All of the linked AP transactions will be scheduled out as well. And you can also, too, if you're in the cash flow, click into the payables weekly flyout. And if you click into the date here, we can manage what that projected date is, or you would have the ability to link, right, my AP transaction to the billing as well from the cash flow forecasting tool as well. So that's kind of the benefits of utilizing those average days to pay for the billings. And if you're going to use the linking feature for all of your AP transactions, that way, when you're looking at things like cash flow, or when I go to my collections module, I can see, all right, yes, this invoice is due here, but we're not expecting payment until these dates listed out over here on the right. Right. So just giving a better look into where we expect billings to come in, payables to come in, and just being a little bit more proactive in where we think all of our cash is going to be, plus and minus week over week, when you're looking at something like the cash flow forecast. Right. And that's the benefit of it too. It's just a couple of settings. You save it. You never have to think about it again. All your invoices moving forward will now utilize that logic. I know it's been a pretty heavily requested feature over the last couple months and even the last couple of years. So it's really nice that we have these new automated projected payment dates to be selected and then to be utilized and considered for things like the cash flow forecast as well. But Garrett, from your perspective, working with some of our existing clients, what's been kind of the feedback from using some of these new features here?
Yeah, it's been good. Obviously, in a perfect world, cash is coming in within 30 days, but not always the case. So I like you can break it up, company wide payment times or, individual clients, PMs. So a lot of options there to really get granular and kind of hammer down your predictions better. And obviously cash is king, so we want to know when that's coming in the door as
Right.
best as we can.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and when we see things like, hey, we've got invoices out to July 12th, we've got them invoiced here, but when we click in there and we see that projected payment date, hey, this job gets paid in 77, the customer pays in 38. So now you can start to see like which jobs are generally being impacted the most by those drawn out pay cycles as well.
Yep. Ability to drill down and see all that breakout has been crucial, I think. So
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep. Okay. All right. Well, that's some of the
yeah.
new updates that we wanted to share for today's power session was, how we can take advantage of these new projected payment dates, how we can use that predictive part of it to start plotting out all of our cash positions over the next, 13 weeks or so here. So if there's any questions that anyone wants to ask in the chat, we'll give it a couple minutes here just in case, but we do appreciate everyone who was able to join us for today's power session. I know we'll have one coming up here in 2 weeks. Garrett, what's the topic for our next power session that we have coming up?
Next one is looks like building reports that drive cash flow.
Yeah, so we'll be looking at some of just additional reporting metrics that that we can help with, and it'll be a bit instructive as well. So we'll be doing that on our typical Tuesday at 1 o'clock Eastern. So make sure you look out for the registration link as well for that. But I'm not seeing any questions just yet, but so I think we'll go ahead and wrap it up for today. And once again, we appreciate everyone joining us for today and hope to see you guys on our next one.
Sounds good. Yeah, we'll have the video on YouTube shortly, and please share the link and respond to if you have any questions or suggestions for us.
Yeah, absolutely. We appreciate
So
everyone and hope you have a good rest of your day.
thanks all. Enjoy.
All right. Bye.